Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be doing a wear test and full-on review of the new Sisley Phyto-Teint Nude, and I knew I had to pick it up because I love Sisley foundations. They just give the most natural finish and they're so beautiful. So I wanted to try this one out. So this is a water-infused foundation that is oil-free, and because it is a water-based foundation, you need to give it a good shake. It is good for 12 months, and I picked mine up in the shade 2W1 Light Beige. I did see on the Sisley site that they had released more shades than they usually do, thank goodness, and they have releases for cool undertones, neutral undertones, and warm undertones. So a little different. I always really struggled to find my perfect shade with Sisley, but I actually think this one is really nice. So I'm just going to read a little bit about this foundation. So I paid $125 Canadian. I'm not sure what the price will be in the United States, but obviously it will be less than $125. So this is a Second Skin oil-free skincare foundation that achieves an ultra-natural, radiant, and even-looking complexion with sheer coverage. Immediately, the complexion is enhanced with a subtle satin finish. The skin texture looks smooth, skin feels hydrated, and looks plumper. Small imperfections are blurred. Day after day, skin looks more beautiful and energized, glowing with radiance. The Vita-Light complex helps to boost the skin's radiance and enhance its vitality and energy. Its fluid, fresh, and lightweight texture blends perfectly with the skin. It provides a bare skin feel, an undetectable finish, and very light coverage. So I will agree, this is very light coverage, and it is ultra skin-like. You will see in the application that this is a very sheer light coverage foundation. So if you are looking for a Sisley foundation with coverage, look elsewhere because this is just a skin tint, essentially. This is supposed to be a skincare infused foundation. I just think the finish is very skin-like, the foundation is very skin-like. This is just like a skin perfecting foundation, essentially. So quickly, like I said, this is made in France. There is 1 fluid ounce of product. I will say I am not too impressed with the packaging on this. It's like a plastic bottle, and for spending $125 on a foundation, I would at least expect a bit more luxury than this. I mean, this would be great to throw in like a gym bag or if you're traveling, but I don't know. I like my luxury products to look like luxury products and also to feel like them, especially with a higher price tag. When I compare it to like a Clé de Peau foundation, you can tell that there's money put into the packaging and it feels very luxurious. I'm not feeling luxury holding this foundation. So that's just one complaint that I have, but this does say that it is a translucent finish that lasts all day long. So I will see if this is a long-lasting foundation. Sometimes with tints, they aren't. All right, so enough blabbing about this foundation. Let's just get straight into the demo and wear test and my full review of this foundation. Okay, so I'm just starting out with a bare face. I have my eye makeup done, and we're just going to go in with this foundation. So this is now the 3rd time that I've used this, so I know how I find this best to use, so I'm going to do it that way. Now I do have on my skincare and my SPF, so I do have like a moisturizing SPF on my face, which is why I probably look a little shiny. No concealer. Usually I do like to go in with concealer before foundation because I like how that blends better. But with this product, I like going in with this foundation first and then going in with concealer, and you'll see why. It's similar to the Chanel Water Fresh Tint in that you get the best results when you apply it with your fingers. And it is a very liquidy formula. It is water-based, so that explains why. And I'm just going to go ahead. I gave that a good shake, and I'm going to use my fingers. So it is a very liquidy formula. I'm just going to kind of show you. You can see it drips out like water. So that was, I don't know how many drops, but you can go in with quite a hefty amount and still get really minimal coverage. So I'm going to take this, rub it in between my fingers, and rub it into my skin like I would a moisturizer or like I would the Water Fresh Tint. Now this is not as hydrating as the Water Fresh Tint. You aren't going to get that really plumped look or really dewy look like you would with the Water Fresh Tint. But this does feel so silky smooth when you blend it onto the skin. It feels lovely. I do recommend going in with a moisturizer or something if you have dry skin like I do, because I do find this is, like I said, not as hydrating as the Chanel Water Fresh Tint, and I need a little bit of moisturizer underneath. Otherwise, it feels a little bit too tight and a little bit too drying on my skin. So with that layer right there, it is super sheer coverage. I can see all my freckles coming through. If I have any little pigmentation, I can see that coming through, but it looks so beautiful. Now, this is a very natural finish. Like I said, it's not like the Chanel Water Fresh Tint, which has a dewy finish. This is a very natural skin-like finish. and it just looks so blurring and perfecting off one layer. So it does a similar result that the Water Fresh Tint does from Chanel, but it's more of a matte, natural finish. Maybe not matte finish, it's more of that skin-like natural finish. So it's very beautiful. It feels ultra lightweight, and it does dry down to like a powdery finish once you let it set for about 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna go in with a second layer because like I said, this looks ultra skin-like. You can't see a trace of makeup on the skin. So here's the second layer. Again, I just want to show you that you can build it up a little bit. But wow, it really does lay beautifully, especially over top of pores and texture. It just smooths those areas out so beautifully. But again, you can really see my skin texture through. This is definitely a light coverage foundation. And then finally, what I like to do with this foundation, just because with your fingers, you're not gonna get the best blendability just because your fingers can create marks and stuff like that. So again, this looks like a lot of foundation, but because it is so skin-like and so sheer, you can do this. I just apply a few dots onto the palm of my hand and then go in with my beauty blender. And then I just press this into my skin. You could even just go in with just a beauty blender just to really work everything into the skin. Just to make sure there's no like finger marks from where I blended. Okay, so that is the foundation on my skin. Again, I have no concealer and no primer or anything like that. And it literally looks so skin-like. I can't see any trace of makeup, which is so beautiful. And it feels, at this point, the foundation has it set down, so it still feels that really silky smooth texture. But again, it will dry down. And I really like how this works over top of a moisturizer. Again, for me, if I just applied it over bare skin, it was just a little bit too drying for me because I do have drier skin. But yeah, it's not emphasizing any pores or texture. It's not sitting in any dry patches. It looks absolutely gorgeous on my smile lines, where usually if I apply foundation, there'll be a little bit of product buildup. Obviously, my under eyes still appear a little bit dark because I haven't concealed. So I'm just going to kind of scoot in a little more just to kind of, I hope you can see how it looks on the skin. But yeah, you can definitely see freckles and a bit of texture, but that doesn't bug me. I like a light coverage. And I would say this is actually a bit more than sheer coverage. This is a light coverage to me. And now I'm just going to go in with concealer. I think I'm just going to use a lightweight concealer because, again, I want to keep this light makeup look. So I'm going to go in with the Clé de Peau, the Radiant Corrector for under eyes. And again, I like to go on the outer corner just because I'm a little dark there. And just a bit under the eyes. Okay, concealer is on. I am not going to set my face currently, but what I'm going to do is finish off the under eyes and the rest of the face. And I just figured I might as well do it on camera because I'm going to use some of my Sisley products. So I am going to take the Sisley Phyto-Teint Sun Glow Bronzing Gel Powder. I'm just going to use that to bronze using my Refer 22. So it's just this beautiful warm bronze shade. I actually need to get another one of these because I am running low. Like I'm hitting, well, you can see I'm already missing some of the bronzer, but I'm hitting that grid that this bronzer lays on because it is a big chalet. This is truly one of my favorite bronzers of all time. And I think this pairs perfectly with this foundation because it is that gel texture. So it really melds into the skin and gives you that skin-like finish and just looks like it blends into the skin like a cream product would. It just looks so natural. And it's a warmer tone bronzer. It's just beautiful. And it has a slight glow to it. So I think it's really pretty for this kind of, I don't know, no makeup foundation vibe. And then while I'm here, I'm just going to take that same bronzer on a pencil brush and just run that along the lower lash line. Okay, I just added some lower lash mascara. And I quickly want to go over what I have on the eyes because I started out with the Sisley. This is the Le Phyto Ombre in the shade Gold Glow 41. And if you can see, it is a very beautiful, but it is super warm tone gold. It is like a very, very orangey yellow gold. If you can see that swatch there. So I don't love how this looks with my skin tone in my eyes. So I think what I'm going to do is pick up another Sisley shade. So let me know if you guys have any favorites. I was thinking maybe Sparkling Topaz or the Pearl, the Glow Pearl one, because this formula is absolutely stunning. I just wish I utilized this more. And I think I would if I could layer it over top of another shadow. Because what I did to tone down this yellow orangeness was I went in with the Dior, this is the Beige Mitza. It's a metallic shade. Oh, so smooth, this formula. But anyways, I just laid that over top of the eyeshadow, so it kind of neutralized it and created more of like a taupey a taupey sort of shade, but I think this looks really pretty. Again, I just wish this color, I don't know, was a little more wearable for me. So that's what I did just to neutralize that. And then I am going to move on to highlight. I'm going to take the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude highlighter and just go in and highlight, because again, this is a very natural finish foundation. So there's no radiance to this foundation, in my opinion. It doesn't make me look very glowy at all. Sisley does a really great job of making these natural finish foundations. So I do want to add a little bit of glow to this look. And then I'm going to line my lips with this Sisley Beige Natural Lip Liner. This is a nice formula. It's just like a very typical lip liner formula. And I'm just going to line my lips. Let me know if you guys have a favorite Sisley lipstick or lip gloss, because I don't own any of them and I don't know what I should try out first. So I'm just going to take the Dior, what is this called? The Addict Stellar Gloss in the shade Dior So Light. And then I'm just going to kind of mush my lips together and then blend that in. And when I ordered this foundation, I also ordered one of the Sisley blushes. This is in the shade Coral, number 3. It's a Le Phyto Blush Lumiere Radiant Blush. It's this stunning, intense coral shade. It's definitely very, very pigmented, so I'm going to be very light-handed when I apply this to my face, because I think that could get intense quickly. So I'm just going to start off, like I said, with a soft amount. So I'm just going to take one dab in there, and there's a ton of color payoff on my brush. Dab off that excess, and then, yep, that is ultra pigmented. Okay, glad I only went in with that once. Oh my god. Okay, well, applying to the other cheek as well. That is super intense. This blush almost reminds me of the Pat McGrath and how intense it is, but like, I kind of like this better. It looks so beautiful, and it's a little easier to blend than the Pat McGrath one, so maybe it's not quite as pigmented as that one is. Like, I don't need to go in too much and blend with that. Oh, it looks really pretty. I can almost see the slight radiance now that I look at it, but it's very, very subtle. It's very skin-like. And I just want to go over how it's looking on the skin. It has been on, I don't know, probably like 10, 15 minutes now. It looks, and I didn't powder, by the way, because I wanted you to see how this wears without powder. I will say that I like how this wears better when I apply powder. It will just be a little more long-lasting. But for this review video, we are not powdering. So this, when I have all my other makeup applied, looks so skin-like. It is unbelievable. I can't see, now obviously I can see where I applied like bronzer and stuff like that, but where I applied foundation, I can't see any foundation sitting on top of my skin. So if you want a no makeup look and you can still see your skin texture through, like I can still see pigmentation and stuff like that, now that doesn't bug me. I think this would be a great daily wear foundation because of that. It just looks so fresh and beautiful on the skin. It's not too hydrating. There are no glowy particles to this. There's no radiance to this foundation, which I also really like, because again, it gives you that very, very much skin-like texture. It doesn't look overly radiant or too glowy or too hydrating where you do need to set the foundation. I don't find that at all. And then I also wanted to compare it to the Chanel Water Fresh Tint. Like I said, when I was doing the application, I do think that these are similar foundations in the level of coverage that they provide. This one is way more hydrating and glowy. I don't need a primer or anything underneath, but it gives you the same perfecting, blurring effect. This one is just more on the natural velvet finish, and this one is more of a glowy finish. So you would probably want to powder this one. Like I said, I don't feel like you need to powder this one at all. So off the bat, I love how this looks. If you want a medium coverage or a full coverage, this is not for you. But if you want a sheer that is buildable to a light coverage, this is gorgeous. I can't get over how beautiful it looks on the skin and how skin-like it is. But again, not going to give you much coverage at all. So those are just my initial impressions off of initial application. So I'm just going to go about for a few hours, and then I will come back for a 4-hour or maybe a 6-hour check-in. All right, I am back for my first check-in, and I think I forgot to mention what time I finished applying this foundation at. It was 8 a.m. I know because it's before I started work at 8:30, and now it is 2:18. So it has been about 7 hours, and I will go over my thoughts so far. So I'm obviously looking a little more dewy than when I first applied it, mainly in this area, but I still think it retains that really skin-like tech or skin-like finish to it. Very much a velvet. Again, I'm getting a bit glowier here, but I think that could be prevented with applying a powder. Now, I wasn't wearing this hour by hour last time I wore this foundation, but I will say I do like how it wears better when I do set it with a powder. I just think it holds up better, so the longevity is a little better, and I think it perfects it even a bit more. So the powder that I usually use, either the Charlotte Tilbury, this one here, or the Chantecaille, and using those powders adds just like a slight bit of coverage. So I think it really enhances this foundation really nicely. But for the wear it has so far, it has a little slightly worn off of my chin area, but hasn't settled into any pores or texture or anything like that. It still looks really beautiful over everything. I think maybe it's so hard to tell if I've lost coverage because it was so sheer to begin with. And I'm just used to my skin having a bit more coverage than it usually does at this point. But I don't think it's worn away or anything, and it doesn't look patchy at all. It hasn't migrated or creased or anything like that. But I'm just wondering if it's slightly faded in this area. But I also, when I work, I kind of go like this sometimes, so I might have just taken off a bit of that foundation. But I still think it looks really nice. Again, I just love the finish of this because it's that natural finish, which I think wears really nicely because obviously I look like I have a little more luminosity to my skin, but it's not overwhelming at this point. And I still think it looks really nice on my skin, especially for 7 hours. Like, that's pretty good. But because it is such a light coverage foundation, if it does wear away, it wears away very naturally and subtly, so you can't really tell that you're missing coverage or anything like that. And it just is so lightweight on the skin. I don't even feel like I'm wearing makeup, so I really enjoy that. I really like how it looks so far. I still think I have that perfected and kind of blurred look to my skin, again, without a lot of coverage. I just think this looks really pretty, especially for an everyday foundation, and just how lightweight it feels on the skin. It's really nice. That is it for my first check-in, and I will be back in a few hours for my final check-in. All right, I am back for my final check-in. It is now 7:19, so it has been over 11 hours that I've been wearing this foundation, and I am tired and I just want to wash my face. So I just want to go over a few things about this foundation. So the first day I wore it with no primer and just applied the foundation by itself. It was probably like a few hours after my skincare, so my skin wasn't very hydrated, and I did a very much a no makeup look. And I think that this is where this product really shines, is creating this no makeup look. I also did apply it as a more like natural glam look, similar to what I have on now, but I used a primer underneath and I did use a powder over top. And I do think this wears a lot better with a powder over top. It just perfects this foundation even more, even though this foundation is kind of a perfecting skin tint. And I'm not going to call it a foundation. It's not a foundation. It's a skin tint. But I think for 11 hours, it looks really good. I am definitely shiny in the center of my face, and I'm sure you can see that on camera. But what I love about Sisley foundations is their perfecting properties that the Sisley foundations have. All of my Sisley foundations, even if they're more on the radiant side, like the Beautifying Tinted Moisturizer, it still has that really perfecting property that's smoothing and blurring on pores and texture while retaining that skin-like appearance to your skin. Because Sisley foundations, I don't find too glowy or too matte. They're those perfect like Goldilocks foundations that sit right in the middle. And this is a skin tint, but on me, I would say it's decently long lasting. Now there is some fading around my chin and maybe like just down here, but I also go like this throughout the day. And with a skin tint, it's going to come off a little bit easier. And you might notice that fading just because if you have a medium coverage foundation and it fades throughout the day to maybe that light coverage, you might not notice it as much. But with this, I don't really notice it. I still think it looks quite good. So this is a skin tint, and normally with skin tints, I find them too hydrating, like they're a little more radiant, so they tend not to be the longest lasting product. On me, I think this is probably one of my longer wearing skin tints. It lasts a little bit longer than the Chanel Water Fresh Tint. Now this doesn't migrate or separate at all, but I would just say that by the end of the day, because it is quite hydrating, you might feel it on the skin a little more, but I don't notice that with this. So again, really similar. I don't even know. I feel like the longevity is probably pretty similar. This one's just a little more glowy, but they're very, very similar in the perfecting properties, the blurring capabilities, and also just how they look on the skin because it gives that sheer coverage. But this just looks a bit more like skin because of the velvet finish. It's not too dewy, it's not too matte, it's that perfect Goldilocks kind of foundation. But I'm happy with this. Again, it's not the most longest wearing foundation in the world, but I don't think it's separated or faded anywhere, and I still think it looks really beautiful. I think right now I could just powder my skin and it would still be fine to keep wearing. Now, I will say, this is the type of foundation, I'm not going to wear this probably every day because, again, it is so natural on the skin, but this is great in a situation where you want that no makeup look. So this is something that I'd wear to like brunch or on a first date, especially when I don't want it to look like I'm wearing makeup. I think this would be a great product for that. I think that's kind of all I have to say about this foundation. I'm going to kind of look over the claims again. So it does say it's a second skin oil-free skincare foundation, which I totally agree with. And I think because this is oil-free, that really helps with this not getting too dewy looking throughout the day. Again, this would look a lot better if I had powdered it, and probably if I had powdered throughout the day. Now, this is something you can touch up with because it is ultra lightweight and kind of ultra no makeup that you can powder throughout the day without it looking heavy at all. So this is something I feel totally comfortable touching up with. You could probably even go on top of your foundation with another layer of this if you were like going from work out, and I don't think it would add any texture. I think this would layer beautifully. So that might be another benefit of a product like this, is that you can layer it up without it ever looking too heavy or cakey. So you could touch up very easily with this. It says your skin looks hydrated and plump. I will say I don't feel like my skin looked very hydrated until I probably wore it for about 4 hours. On me, it was very much that kind of velvet skin finish, so I don't think it was too radiant, but it does now definitely make my skin look more plump. And it does say it provides a bare skin feel, undetectable finish, and very light coverage, which I all totally agree with. Again, if you are looking for something sheer coverage that is buildable to light coverage, this is a foundation for you. If you're looking for something more than that, then I would definitely not suggest this. And this is expensive for what it is. It is a skin tint, and it's $125. It's also expensive for the packaging that it comes in. I wish this was more luxury feeling and looking. But overall, I do think it is a really good foundation, and it's something that I will get use of. I'm actually really excited to test it out in combination with the Dior Air Flash because both of these have very similar finishes. So I feel like this might be a perfect combination because the Dior Air Flash will add a bit of coverage to the Sisley Phyto-Teint Nude, but I think it will make it look even more, it'll be like that perfect natural glam, a little bit of an enhanced no makeup look. But overall, I think this is a really great foundation, and I'm excited to see if I use it more. Let me know if you are thinking of picking this foundation up. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Again, I try and be really in-depth, so I hope I didn't talk too much and didn't talk about the same things over and over. And I thought some comparisons might be helpful. So I hope this foundation review really helped you out. I hope you guys enjoyed this foundation review. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you're going to pick this one up, and I will see you guys in my next video.